Welcome to Guide Mia. Today we're going to talk about the cbct viewer in Cympha Studio. This one is for clinicians who review cbct in the browser, orthodontists who want to see roots in 3 dimensions, implant planners checking ridge and sinus anatomy, oral surgeons looking over a case before a consult. By the end, you'll know how to load a cbct series in Studio, tune the volume rendering with the HU threshold and opacity, navigate the reformatted slice panes, draw an arch curve, switch into a panoramic view along that curve, and use the orthographic shortcut buttons when no plan is loaded. On a familiar cbct, the whole routine takes about 10 minutes. The decode itself runs maybe 20 to 60 seconds, depending on the volume and your hardware. Follow along on screen, or listen now and read the written guide later. Here's the shape of what we're doing today. You'll load a cbct series into Studio and get a live 3-dimensional rendering plus a row of reformatted slice panes, axial, sagittal, and coronal. You'll learn the 2 dials that make the volume readable, the HU threshold and the opacity. Then you'll draw an arch curve on the axial slice, which unlocks panoramic mode, the same unfolded view a traditional panoramic X-ray gives you, but computed live from the volume. One point worth stating up front, because it surprises people, the entire decode runs in your browser tab, on your own device. Nothing is uploaded to a server, and no account or sign-in is needed. cbct review in Studio is fully open. Only a few prerequisites. First, the data, a single cbct series as a folder of DICOM files. Not a multi-series export, and not a zipped archive. Studio's picker expects the unzipped folder that contains the actual slice files. Second, a modern desktop browser. Mobile browsers will technically open the volume, but the slice experience is built around a mouse and a scroll wheel, so do this at a desk. And one workspace note before we start clicking. The workspace NAV in the top bar filters Studio's hamburger menu. For cbct review, pick 3D processing or implant. Both expose the open DICOM action. Some narrower workspaces like Ceph image processing hide it. So if you ever open the menu and open DICOM simply isn't there, you're in the wrong workspace. Switch first, then come back. Step 1. Click the hamburger at top left and choose Open DICOM. The browser opens a folder picker, not a file picker. You select the folder holding your series. Studio then decodes the volume locally with a progress indicator, and when it's done, the slice row appears across the top of the viewport and the 3-dimensional rendering fills the main view. 2 behaviors to know. Open DICOM replaces the primary CT volume only, meshes you've added, and any loaded case plans stay put. Only clear scene wipes everything. And if implant plans are stored in your Cympha cloud for the series, Studio may ask whether to import one once the decode finishes. If you're only here to review the volume, dismiss that prompt and carry on. Once the cbct is in, a small floating dock appears on the left side of the viewport with 2 icons. The rendering icon opens the View Tools panel. That's your home base for this whole lecture. The CT volume controls, the arch curve tool, the slice mode buttons, and the HU threshold all live there. The implant icon opens the Implant Tools panel, which is for implant planning and gets its own lecture. Ignore it today. Click the rendering icon now. If the panel lands somewhere inconvenient, grab the gray handle at the top and drag it out of the way. It floats, so park it wherever it doesn't cover the anatomy you care about. 2 dials do most of the work. Opacity runs from 0 to 1 and controls how solid voxels look above the threshold. Start around 0.8, lower it to see through dense bone, raise it to make the volume more opaque. The HU threshold slider runs from roughly -1000 up past 2000. Voxels above the threshold contribute strongly to what you see. Voxels below fade out. For separating bone and teeth from soft tissue, somewhere between 200 and 500 works for most scans. Drop it low, around -300, when you want the soft tissue surface. Now, a common misconception. The threshold is not a contrast control. It's the lower bound of which voxels get rendered. Contrast on a slice is a different gesture. Left drag on the slice background, coming up shortly. There's also a volume-only toggle, and it's a proper diagnostic instrument. It hides all meshes in the main 3-dimensional view, so only the volume draws. Use it when you suspect an artifact is actually coming from an overlapping mesh rather than from the volume itself. Toggle it on, and if the artifact disappears, it was never in the CT. One caveat to remember, so the result doesn't confuse you. The toggle governs the main view, and the slice overlays may still show meshes. This is what a well-tuned volume looks like. Bone and dentition standing cleanly apart from the soft tissue at a threshold you chose for the question you're asking. And that's really the mental model for the whole viewer. There is no single correct setting. Reviewing roots and cortical bone, you'll sit in that 200 to 500 band. Checking the soft tissue profile, you'll drop the threshold and let the face render. The threshold is a question you put to the volume, and you'll move it several times in a single review session. Get comfortable riding that slider with one hand while you rotate the view with the other. Left drag rotates, and the volume responds live. Once this feels natural, the slice panes are next. The slice row across the top shows 3 reformatted views by default: axial, looking top-down, sagittal, from the side, and coronal, front to back. Each pane is fully interactive. Middle drag pans, right drag zooms, and left drag on the CT background, not on a mesh or a gizmo, adjusts window and level, which is your contrast and brightness for that slice. One caveat: on the axial pane, that left drag is deferred while the arch curve tool is active, so the two don't fight over your clicks. Slice panes can also show mesh overlays. A placed implant draws as a silhouette across the slices, and a registered arch can be shown with the Show in 2D toggle on its right-click menu. Finally, in View Tools you'll find the MPR mode buttons. Regular is the default patient space layout. Pano unlocks after you draw the arch curve, and Gizmo aligns slices to the positioning gizmo, available only while model positioning is active. Here's a small toolbar that many people never notice. When you've loaded a cbct without a plan layered on top, a compact toolbar appears at the top center of the viewport with 3 quick framing buttons: front, patient right, and patient left. Remember that patient right appears on your left as the viewer. The buttons are named from the patient's perspective, the way clinical convention wants it. Each one reframes the main view orthographically, which is exactly what you want for cephalometric style profile and frontal views when there's no ortho plan loaded. And that qualifier matters. Once a plan file is loaded, this toolbar hands over to the Arch toolbar, which offers both upper and lower jaw modes plus front and lateral presets instead. So if the 3 buttons vanish one day, it's not a bug. A case took over the top center real estate. Now the prerequisite for panoramic mode, the arch curve. It's a flat polyline drawn on the axial slice that tells Studio where the dental arch runs. In View Tools, turn Arch Curve on, then move your pointer to the axial pane. The tool only takes input there. Left-click to place points. These are simple 2-dimensional points on the slice plane, not density picks. Aim for 6 to 10 points roughly following the buccal side of the maxillary arch, starting at 1 second molar and ending at the opposite second molar. When you're done, right-click to finish. Technically 2 points is the minimum, but a proper molar-to-molar trace gives a far better panoramic. Afterwards, you can drag the handles to refine the shape. The curve persists until you load a new CT, which clears it. Turning the tool off merely hides it and keeps the geometry. Once the curve is complete, the Pano button lights up. Click Pano in the MPR mode buttons and the slice row reformats. In place of axial, sagittal, and coronal, you get a panoramic reformation along your arch curve, plus cross-sectional slices cut perpendicular to it. It's the same unfolded presentation a traditional panoramic X-ray gives, but computed live, at whatever threshold you choose, with cross-section panes showing the buccolingual width at each point along the curve. Flip back to regular anytime. The curve stays drawn, and you can move between the 2 layouts freely. So what does a good session look like? For things. The 3-dimensional rendering shows bone and dentition cleanly separated from soft tissue at your chosen threshold. The slice pane scrolls smoothly and answer to middle drag pan, right drag zoom, and left drag window and level. The arch curve traces the buccal side of the maxillary arch, second molar to second molar. And panoramic mode shows the arch unfolded along that curve with perpendicular cross-sections beside it. When all 4 are true, capture it. The camera icon on the top toolbar takes a screen capture. With a cbct layout active, that capture stitches the slice row and the main view into a single image exactly as they appear on screen, prompts for an optional comment, timestamps the file name, and files it in the media gallery, where it travels with the project if you save as a Cympha project. Now the troubleshooting, and there's enough of it to take in 2 passes. Start with the volume itself. If the picker says it didn't find any DICOM files, the folder you chose is almost certainly 1 level too high. You may have selected a patient-level folder containing several study subfolders, or a study folder containing multiple series. Drill down until you're at the folder holding the actual slice files. Those often number in the hundreds, and they may have no extension at all, or DCM extension. Pick that folder. Next, the volume renders, but it's a solid white blob. The threshold is too low, so almost everything contributes, or the opacity is too high. Raise the threshold into the 200 to 500 band and drop the opacity to somewhere around 0.6 to 0.8. The mirror image complaint. The volume renders but you can barely see anything, means the threshold is too high and only the densest voxels are contributing. Drop it. And if Pano stays grayed out, you either haven't drawn the arch curve yet, or you turn the tool off before placing at least 2 points. Turn arch curve back on, place points on the axial pane, and right-click to finish. 3 more, and these are all about the slice panes. First, the slices are showing a registered arch mesh, and you'd rather they didn't. Right-click that mesh in the main 3-dimensional view, and choose Hide in 2D. It's a toggle. Show in 2D turns it back on so you can flip the overlay off while you read the bone, then flip it back on to verify the registration. Second, left drag on the axial pane has stopped adjusting contrast. That one is nearly always the arch curve tool. While it's active, left clicks on the axial pane are captured as curve picks, so window and level is deferred to keep the two from fighting. Turn the arch curve tool off in View Tools, and left drag works for window and level again. Third, a question that comes up constantly. How do you load a different cbct without losing the mesh registrations you've built up? Just use Open DICOM again. It replaces only the primary CT volume. Your meshes and any loaded case plans stay exactly where they are. If you genuinely want to start from nothing, that's a different command. Clear scene. The written guide has all of this with exact slider ranges and every troubleshooting entry. Head to cympha.com, Open Docs, and find how to use the cbct viewer in Cympha Studio. If you're finding these walkthroughs useful, consider subscribing. We're covering every Cympha workflow, one lecture at a time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.